Hello everybody and welcome to Journal Auto YouTube channel. Today I will review not a car but an engine. This is the Volkswagen 1.4 petrol engine that was very known in the 2000s because apart from the Volkswagen Fox that I am owning, this engine was also put on the fourth generation of Volkswagen Polo that was sold between 2002 and 2010, and also this engine was put on the more known Volkswagen Golf, the fifth generation, and I had some followers on this channel who had this engine in the Golf, and I'm reviewing it because I'm owning it already for 3.5 years, during which I did around 30,000 kilometers. Most of them were done inside the city because this is a city car that I'm using it in the city. I was interested in doing this review because this is one of the most reliable engines that Volkswagen made during that period. You know that in the 2000s, Volkswagens usually had problems. Several engines had problems with oil consumption. It was, in some cases, there was a massive oil consumption. Some cars were consuming like 1 liter of oil, were burning oil, 1 liter of oil per 1,000 kilometers. So people were changing 2 times the oil in 10,000 kilometers. That was crazy during that time. But you will see that this engine does not consume, does not burn not only a gram of oil. So today I'm going to review it. I'm going to talk about its advantages, of its disadvantages, and we will also take it for a drive to see how it feels, if it's punchy, if it's noisy, if it's silent. You will see if you will remain until the end of this video. So this engine develops 75 horsepower and, as I said, is a 1.4 petrol engine. For Fox, like the car I have, and for the Polo, it's a very suitable engine because these are small cars that are usually driven inside the city. For the Golf, it might feel slow. And it is slow because Golf, it's a bigger car, it's from the C segment. But if you drive the Golf mainly inside the city, it's more than enough. And occasionally, let's say, outside the city, that is more than enough. But if you want to buy a Golf, to drive it on longer roads constantly, of course, this is not a suitable engine. As I said, this is a very reliable engine. I had no problems with it in 3.5 years since I have it, except that I was needed to change the coil pack. I will show it to you a little bit later. So I changed the coil pack, which is, you know, a very frequent problem in the petrol engines, and the spark plug wires. And these all costed me, I think, less than 100 euros. So less than 100 euros in 3.5 years. Otherwise, no problems with it. With this car, as I said, it has no oil consumption. I will show you again a little bit later. Its disadvantage is that the fuel consumption is quite big. But as I said to my fellow Romanians, I do prefer paying money on petrol than paying money to car repair shops and wasting my time in car repair shops with a less reliable engine. I accepted this disadvantage of having a bigger fuel consumption because this engine is very reliable and it's worth it. Of course, some people are obsessed with power. Oh no, this engine has too little power. But except Germany, in all Europe, the maximum speed is around 130 kilometers on highways. You don't need so much power. People are obsessed of power to do what? To overtake other cars in a dangerous way, to feel like they are bossy and then killing people in accidents? No. So let's be honest. Of course, if you do constantly longer roads on highways, a car with, let's say, 140 or 150 horsepower, it's more than enough. But inside the city, come on, let's be serious. 75 horsepower, it's a quite good value. This is how the 1.4 petrol engine looks. It is not complex at all. It's a very simple engine. It has a simple construction, and this is what it makes it so reliable. These are the spark plug wires that I changed. You can see that they are quite new. This is the coil pack that I also changed. You can see that it still looks quite new. It's a Bosch coil pack. And this coil pack was made in Brazil, just like the car. And let me show you. I hope you can see that the oil, it's in its maximum position. So no fuel, no oil consumption at all. Let me put it back. And this is how the color of the oil looks after 11 months. So next month I will change the oil because it will be 1 year. Of course, I did only 6,000 kilometers, but it has many hours of functioning because these fixed 6,000 kilometers were done mainly inside the city. Now let's go driving it. Let's now see how noisy is the engine when the car it's running, when the engine is running, but without moving. So I have here a sound meter. I will reset it and then I will show you on camera what is the average sound noise. (38, 39 decibels. Imagine that a conversation between two people that are 1 meter from each other, it's around 60 decibels. This thing, 38 decibels. That's great. (65, 64, 65 decibels while driving this car in the city, which is close to a normal conversation between two people. This engine is great for city driving because it's not noisy and it's quite punchy. You have a maximum power torque of 124 Newton meters that you will get at only 2,750 power of torque. Other petrol engines are getting this at 4,000 RPM. This is getting it at much lower, which is great because you have the power much quickly. Otherwise, it's a reliable engine, it's quiet, it's quite punchy in the city, so for city driving it's very nice, but we will take it on the highway to see how it behaves. I'm now on the highway. I'm having 95 kilometers per hour, 100 now. The engine becomes quite noisy after 80-90 kilometers per hour. I guess you can hear it in the video. The noise is around at 100 kilometers per hour. The noise it's around 75 decibels, but I will still drive it a little more to push it to 130 kilometers per hour to see how it sounds and how it behaves. Now I'm 120 kilometers per hour and you see that the car is quite noisy. I want to push it to 130. It's quite punchy, the engine. It's still quite punchy, surprisingly. I say surprisingly because I not driven this car often with this speed, but it's quite crowded here and I don't have where to push it to 130. Come on, get out of my way. 130, get out of my way. (72 decibels of noise at 130 kilometers per hour, 75 now, so the same as 100. So we are now reaching the end of the video. Before jumping to conclusions, I promised you that we will talk about the fuel consumption, which is one of the main disadvantages of this engine. This is because inside the city, like Bucharest where I live, and it's very congested, this car consumes around 11 to 12 liters per 100 kilometers. I will put on the screen for those of you in UK the conversion in miles per gallon, in UK miles per gallon. But if the city is not congested, let's say it's a vacation period or it's in the morning or in the weekend, you can get around 9 to 10 liters per 100 kilometers, but sadly it will not go under 9 liters per 100 kilometers in the city. Outside the city, if you are driving it at, let's say, 80-90 kilometers per hour, you can get with a 6.3 liters per 100 kilometers. But if you jump to 100 kilometers per hour, let's say 6.5, but if you drive it on the highway like I did, 130 kilometers per hour, in this case it will jump well over 7 liters per 100 kilometers. And the other disadvantage of this engine is that at higher speed it's very, very noisy. So it has these two disadvantages: the fuel consumption and the noise at higher speed. But if you are looking to buy, let's say, a car for a beginner or to just drive around the city, if you are looking for a reliable car, for a car that will not give you headaches, and if you are looking for a Fox, for a Polo, or for a 5th generation Volkswagen Golf, I warmly recommend this engine because it's quite punchy in the city. It's very silent at lower speed, like those in the city. It's very reliable because of its simple construction. So if you are not going too often around outside the city and you are spending most of your time inside the city or around the city, then this is a very good engine that, you know, it will be a very good friend with your wallet. It will be a good friend with your wallet in terms of reliability. In terms of fuel consumption, not so much. But as I said earlier in the clip, it's better to pay money on the gas than to pay money in the car repair shop, because there you are also, apart from money, you are also wasting time. So this is my review for this engine. I will still make some clips in English. I will keep continuing clips to do videos in English. So if you like what I do, you can consider subscribing. It's not mandatory and I'm not pushing anyone to do it. But if you think it's worth it, then I will be happy with it. I give you all my greetings and let's hear each other in other videos too.